I've been a vintage snob for too many years, and I'm coming to the real realization I've never been more wrong in my life. It's actually really a little bit disheartening knowing what I've spent on certain things. Dudes, what's up? HW here. Today we're talking about if we're gonna have any American instruments in 10 years, or if American-made instruments will be gone in 10 years. I'll tell you what made me start thinking about this. Fesley sent me this guitar, and I did a review on it. And at $300, it's like I'm actually like super blown away. It feels like a $1,000 Ibanez. In fact, it feels just like those Ibanezes that have the roasted necks and, you know, have like the like all solid color bodies with the pickups. They put Wilkinson stuff in here, Wilkinson bridge, Grover tuners already on it. So to me, it already is like, okay, they're putting on the stuff that people would normally add to an import guitar. You know, and then that like, and when I look at this thing, I cannot believe I'm flipping saying this, man. But with the way this feels, it feels like this would be a $1,000 instrument. And I have no complaints about the pickups. I mean, if I'm being really nitpicky, I wouldn't mind if this was more PAF style, but it's a little more rock style. It's just a little bit hotter. It's a little more modern. Probably it's more well-rounded, actually, you know, for like the for the rock and roll stuff. That's really lovely. The ability to do that and then come back here and just go. I could go out and play a weekend with this guitar. I could play a gig with this guitar. And it's $300. And that is really, that along with my Harley Benton SC 550 really makes me, which I've had on the channel a bunch, I won't play for you right now, but it really makes me go, nothing under $500 should really be competing with stuff, you know, in the $1,500–$1,600 price point, but I believe we're getting there. And I believe we're getting there through this. There's obviously a bunch of cheap imports, obviously. But the real test is, what can a company do to push up quality while keeping price down? And it may be that they don't OEM all the parts, or rather they third-party all the parts, rather than they do OEM all the parts, rather than manufacturing it themselves. You know, they go get Wilkinson stuff. They go get a Wilkinson bridge. I've never seen a $300 guitar that held tune this well, you guys. flipping comfortable. And it makes me go, man, I wonder, is it even worth it for like PRS to keep, like eventually, this is, I think, the plan of attack that import models should take. And maybe it's the plan of attack that like maybe the Japanese had when you have really great guitar manufacturing beginning to go on in some of these factories and they start putting in USA parts. I have a Tokai back there that was an LS120. And what they famously did was they made their top model in Japan of the Tokais. They made all the electronics for the lower models, but when you got to the two top models, the Custom and the LS120, you started seeing they were going and getting DiMarzios and putting them in there. And Larry DiMarzio corrected me in the comments a couple videos ago. I said that I thought I had heard a rumor that Tokai may have even made them. Larry said, no Tokai. We've never licensed out the name. Every DiMarzio has always been made here in America, which I appreciate Larry correcting me about that, because I would never want to say anything about that business or anybody's business that's not like true, that might hurt, something that they have their brand built around. And for DiMarzio, I think it's very important. They want people to know, hey, DiMarzio pickups are always built here to this standard. We've never been putting our name on crappy stuff somewhere else. And so I appreciate that. Noted. But I love that guitar, and I love the sound of that guitar. Those DiMarzios are incredible. And that for me has become my number one Les Paul, in large part to those great pickups. And so when I see companies busting out here and going, hey, Wilkinson stuff, let's get the stuff that people are putting on their guitars, that they're modding their guitars to have, and let's put it on from the get-go. And we can probably take advantage of economy of scale, because the user, the guitar player, they have to buy the tuners and the pickups at retail. These guys can go buy it at wholesale because they're putting it on a bunch of instruments. And if they get the neck dialed in like they have, if they get the frets dialed in like they have, I'm sitting over here going, this guitar should not be $300. I've played other $300 stuff that's nowhere near this. I played some really nice Squiers for $300. I've never seen Squier put out anything this nice for $300. So that has me a little bit going, man, this, to me, this and the SC550 start to go, what is this new category of like high quality, low price? What is this ultra value category? Because it's kind of different. This is a run-of-the-mill look, right? Like, there's nothing special about the look of this guitar. If anything, the sunburst is not amazing. It's not the best sunburst I've seen. And this is like the wrong pickguard. If they're going to go with vintage parts, they need to put on, a real vintage, like, not a real vintage pickguard, but, a vintage color pickguard at least, right? To match. I don't know what they're doing with that. And this tip should be that vintage color as well. So there's still room for improvement visually. I think maybe they're not dialed into what people want to see. And if anything, the mismatch here communicates to me low quality, but actually the guitar is very high quality. The guitar punches. This guitar should, if you told me this guitar was $700, $800, I would say, of course, wow, that's a really good guitar for that money. But at $300, not even at $300, just forget it. It's a great guitar in and of itself. I already told you I'm going to be playing this on the channel more and in demos because it legitimately sounds really good. And it sounds, as good as some other guitar. Can I put this against a $3,000 guitar for a minute and you tell me which Strat sounds better? Because I'm seriously like, what? I've been a vintage snob for too many years, and I'm coming to the real realization. I've never been more wrong in my life. It's actually really a little bit disheartening knowing what I've spent on certain things. Kind of feels like I got a new Sir. I got to be honest with you. It doesn't. It's not totally dissimilar to what I use that other guitar for. Stays in tune. Trem feels nice. Maybe I won't go that far to say I got a new Sir, but it feels like I got a new something else. It feels like I got a new Ibanez. And it's a flipping killer guitar, man. I don't know. I don't know how the future's going to pan out, but if this becomes the standard, if this becomes what you can do at 300, then what you can do at 799, 899, I think will actually be, better than this. Because right now, a lot of this is coming up to preference. It's coming down to like, this is more modern, and they sound different. And this one sounds more vintage to me. Don't you hate that when you gotta put your glasses up? This one sounds more vintage to me. But man, that's kind of a preference, man. In the 80s, we saw a real move away from vintage tone. And you saw a lot more hi-fi kind of stuff, and a lot more like the way they wanted pickups to sound, especially in the in-between positions, got really exaggerated, and it wasn't that bluesy thing. It was much more like exaggerated, sterile. Kind of reminds me of that guitar I played the other day, Charvel I've got. Kind of sounds like that. And this thing isn't modern like that. This thing sounds more like a modern Strat. It's kind of got some of that vintage flavor, but it sounds a little more refined, whereas this thing is like ultra vintage sounding. So, I don't know, man. I don't know what to make of that.